Oh, it's Mondays with Mikey and Murf. It's Monday Mike football. It's almost the end of the season. It's one of the last times you're going to hear me attempt to sing, and one of the last times you'll see Murf do his dancing. But hey, we're here forever. Trust me. It's Monday Mike football. Denver Broncos coming to town. It might be the end all. I don't know what to do. I'm feeling kind of blue. How about you? Murf, it's almost Christmas time. Are you ready to sip on the wine? Merry Christmas, Raider Nation. From Murf itself, he's my best friend. It's Mondays with Mikey and Murf. We talking Raiders and football dirt because it's a new Raider talk show. We have good times. Let's go. It's Mondays with Mikey and Murf. Woo, here we are, Murf, again. This is episode 22. And it's Christmas time.
It sure is. What is up, Raider Nation? What's up, Mikey? Glad to be back here on Mondays with Mikey and Murf on a Friday and celebrating the Christmas season, the winter spirit as we close down another NFL football season, so far the second worst in Raiders history.
Yeah, it's funny. Normally I get depressed around Christmas time because I don't got no girlfriends, I don't got a lot of family. But now I'm actually happy during Christmas time. Why? Because the season's, this debauchery is almost over. I'm kind of excited.
It's like if you sit there and hit yourself in the head with a hammer for a long time, eventually when you stop, it kind of feels good.
I don't think ever hitting myself with a hammer will feel good when I stop.
But that's kind of like watching Raiders games this year. It's like hitting yourself in the head with a hammer. And so when it's finally over, it's like, oh, wow, it feels kind of good.
You know what? We're going to do that for next season, and we'll talk about that on next week's show.
Okay.
I'm going to buy a hammer and name it Gruden. I'm just going to sit there and hammer myself, and it's going to be called Gruden. Hit me in the head with a hammer.
There you go.
So there you go. You created a new thing for this show, the Gruden hammer.
The Gruden hammer.
Every time I get mad at Gruden, I can hit myself with the Gruden hammer.
There you go.
There you go. Well, check it out. This is Monday Mike football. That's right. The return to Monday Mike football with Mondays with Mike and Murf. Every Monday night game that the Raiders will play, we will have Monday Mike football. The name was given to me by the absolute famous Murf himself. He named these episodes Monday Mike football. So guess what? The Denver Broncos are coming to town. It's a rivalry, and it might be the last game in Oakland. We are going to talk about it. But Murf, first off, let's get to the promos and the selling points. First off, I want to say thank Dead Pirate Sports. They sent me a few little goodies. This is a little mask that I could put on. They sent me like a little air fresheners because I stink AF. They sent me a keychain so I can get back into my heart and my home. Aww. And then they sent me a Raiders flag. And I want to thank Jeff at deadpiratesports.com. Link will be below. Thank you for supporting Mondays with Mike and Murf. Thank you for supporting Murf on his fan channel. So, Murf, tell them about your channel because they're going to need some content coming up.
Yeah, so you can find us at youtube.com/Murf's Fan Cave, and I do episodes of Raiders Fan Radio, which is our flagship podcast. I do that with my Uncle Mosh, and we do that every Wednesday, including this Wednesday. And normally we broadcast at night, but we're actually going to do a morning show. We're going to do Coffee with Raider Nation, so look for us this Wednesday morning. That's the day after Christmas, and so you can find us, once again, youtube.com/Murf's Fan Cave. Please hit that subscribe button, and thank you for supporting our show. And you can also find us on any podcast service for the audio only podcast. Just look for Murf's Fan Cave. That's MURFS Fan Cave on any podcast service.
I promise you all links are below. So get off your butt, copy and paste it into your browser and get on top of that, Raider Nation, because they do excellent work. And I'm very proud to be associated with all of them. And guess what? Today's a Friday. Some of you guys are going, what the heck is going on? It's a Friday night. And we're getting a Mondays with Mike and Murf. That don't make no sense. It don't make no sense. Well, Mikey's been sick, so Mikey had to take a week off. And also, the game is going to be played on Monday. And I got some plans for that day for the final Monday game in Oakland. And I want to have the show to you as early as possible and get hyped for it. So that's why you're getting Mondays with Mike and Murf on Friday Night Live, basically. All right, let's jump right into it. We got a few good storylines to get into, and hopefully Murf does not get uppity in this. Quick feelings on the Bengals loss that we just had.
Yeah, that was a terrible, terrible game, and especially coming on the heels of a huge win against the hated Pittsburgh Steelers. So to follow that up with a debacle like we had in Cincinnati, pretty ugly. A couple of bright points, though. At least Darren Waller kind of came out of nowhere, and I'm looking forward to see what this young man can do in the silver and black going forward.
Yeah, I agree. It was a bad loss to the Bengals, especially off the victories and all that other stuff. But, it is what it is, and we didn't really get a game review last week. So let's go into the first headline of the day. The Raiders and the NFL are being sued by the city of Oakland. Basically for money, about $200 million because of Mount Davis, and also because they believe it's an illegal move to Las Vegas. Your thoughts on this lawsuit? Is it legit in any fashion? And do you agree? Do you believe it's malicious and unwarranted like Mark Davis claims? What are your thoughts on this lawsuit, Murf?
Yeah, I 100% think that it's malicious. And when you look at the history of the city attorney of the city of Oakland, and you look at the people that are behind this, including 2 third-party firms that have been hired to sue the Raiders and the other 31 teams in the NFL, this is absolutely a cash grab. This is absolutely, sour grapes. And I had a fantastic columnist for the San Francisco Chronicle who covers Oakland and the East Bay, Kimberly Veckerlov, and she's not a sports writer. She is a financial analyst and an economist and whatnot, and just a reporter on that area. And, by all accounts, an expert. And that's what her position was, is that this is not trying to reclaim anything as far as terms of rights or in terms of keeping the team there. This is all just looking for a payday as the Raiders are on their way out of town. That's all that this thing is. And it's sad. It's sad that that's gone down this way. I mean, the firms that have been hired and this city attorney have made a career out of suing big businesses, and I'm not necessarily even opposed to suing big business should it be called for in terms of companies like Monsanto or whatever. But that's not what this is the NFL. This is what the Raiders. This is not one of those big evil empire type companies. So I think that this thing is absolutely misguided. And the whole idea that it's antitrust, I mean, I got into a full breakdown of Raiders Fan Radio. You guys can find it there. So I won't get into the weeds on it, but just know this. Antitrust is something that gets put in place to prevent companies from aligning together in order to fix prices in a market. That's not what this thing is. So this is an absolute stretch at best in terms of what antitrust is. And so this thing is going to go nowhere. They're probably going to settle out of court for some type of figure. And, then that's it. And then and the Raiders are going to move on because I promise you this, they're not going to play in the Oakland Coliseum again after this.
Pretty interesting how they're being sued. But the city of Oakland is also suing, they believe, because they promised Mount Davis to make money, that area that's always been closed off for the Raiders. And they believe Mark Davis is trying to leave town without, making up that money that the city of Oakland paid to rebuild Mount Davis and other facilities. And they kind of feel that Mark Davis is trying to skip out of town without paying that bill. So, I mean, that's another interesting subject to it. So that seems like a legit concern from my end. Because I do remember when Al Davis came back to Oakland, Oakland promised that they were going to build that in return for PSL money and all that. And then the Raiders didn't provide a winning product, so the money got less. They closed out Mount Davis, the place where players sit, and then the money just never appeared because the Raiders didn't have a winning product on the field. So now that the city of Oakland is being scorned by the Raiders in a move where they feel that Mark Davis did not want to stay in Oakland, they're just like, you know what? You owe us money, for what we did.
The thing that's funny about that, and I asked Kimberly that question about that, because the Raiders are getting sued based on future revenue losses. The city of Oakland is saying we're going to miss out on future revenue of the team, but yet they say that they've lost money on Mount Davis, yet they say that they don't make money on game day because they have to provide law enforcement and whatnot. They have to provide the infrastructure for the team to play on game day. So and I asked her that. I'm like, so which one is it? She said, well, we really don't know because we've never gotten a clear answer. So, this is this is the tactics of the city of Oakland. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors. It's a lot of misinformation. It's a lot of misdirection, when you think of it in those terms. And so, it's I promise you, all it is that it's sour grapes. That's all this is. They are looking for a payday, knowing that the Raiders are gone. There is no hope to keep the Raiders in Oakland. They're leaving, so they're going to make a last-ditch effort to milk every penny out of the team that they possibly can.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Also, it's a pro bono case, and then most of the time these cases literally don't go through to the end. So it's kind of a last-ditch effort.
Yeah, unless they get countersued on pro bono, meaning that the city of Oakland doesn't pay anything for retaining these two other law firms. But if they get countersued by the NFL, that's not covered under pro bono. So now all of a sudden the city of Oakland's going to have to look to pay these fees for these attorneys. So it's goofy, man. None of this makes sense at all. Like I said, it really is petty. It truly is petty when you look at the way that this thing is broken down. That, look, the Raiders are leaving, so move on. You know what I mean? Ultimately, move on. And I'm not sure how much it's going to cost the city to put all this stuff in place, because you got to pay your city attorney. You got to pay, there still is a cost involved to file these types of things, even though you're not paying these third-party firms. There's still a cost involved. So at what point do you just move on? Do you just look, it's over. It's like a bad breakup, man. Sometimes it's just over. It's better to just move on with your life.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree. There's many variables on the situation. I want it to be over and done with, but it looks like a fight that might continue between both parties for the foreseeable future, or at least till they're officially out of town. And this might summarize that, and they might be completely out of town. News just came out that they might play in the A's Stadium a couple hours ago of the so I don't know. What do you think? Where are they going to play?
Angels? You mean the Angels Stadium?
No, I thought it was the A's in San Francisco, a baseball stadium that they have there. Possibly the Giants, but it was a baseball stadium in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's the Giants. The A's and the Raiders already playing the same stadium.
I apologize about that. Yeah, then there was news that there's a report that it's a possibility to play on another baseball field at Giant Stadium.
Yeah, I've heard Angel Stadium. At this point, you hit the rundown just off the top of my head. Those two baseball stadiums, Sam Boyd in Vegas, Arizona with the Cardinals, San Antonio at the Alamo Dome, Qualcomm Stadium, Cal Stanford, Levi's Stadium. I think that might be it. But yeah, there's been so many different venues that have been thrown out. I think at this point, literally, who knows where they're going to play? Heck, and and here's the other option: they could be nomads and play a road schedule and play London, Mexico City, and wherever else. Just and frankly, not dissimilar what the Saints did when Katrina hit the Superdome. The Saints played home games at like MetLife Stadium in New York. You know what I mean? So, sometimes the teams will just play wherever they need to. And so I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility for the Raiders.
Yeah, we're actually going to get into that too a little bit more in the game preview, but it's a scary thought, man. This all hurts my soul, and it feels like it's coming to a close. And speaking of coming to a close, NFL Pro Bowl, basically, they shut out Jared Cook, Rodney Hudson. They were snubbed. Is this fair or foul? And is this proof that it's an NFL popularity rating system in the Pro Bowl? Your thoughts on Jared Cook and Rodney Hudson being snubbed when I clearly believe they deserve to get in?
Yeah, the numbers prove that absolutely they need to get in. When you look at Kelsey and then where Jared Cook fits in against his numbers and is ahead of Eric Ebron, then absolutely that's a snub. And then Rodney Hudson was passed up by both Pouncey brothers, Mike and Marquise from Pittsburgh and Miami. And yeah, by all accounts, he has better statistical numbers and really a better Pro Football Focus rating than either of those two guys. And so, this is just another case where the Raiders are, looked down upon by the media that votes these things in. I believe it's the sports writers, right? They're looked down on. They're really, it's an us against the world. It always has been. And we've always gotten jobbed on these kinds of things unless they're absolutely undeniable. And when your record is 3-11, how undeniable are you? So it's unfortunate, but yes, absolutely. These two guys got passed over, and especially Rodney Hudson, man. There is, by all accounts, he is arguably the best center in all of football and might be one of the best centers in all of football over the past, I don't know, since Jeff Saturday retired. Like, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, Rodney Hudson is amazing. You know, Jared Cook is having a great season, but Rodney Hudson is phenomenal. Like, he's an elite player at his position. So the fact that he's passed up is ridiculous.
Yeah, I have the ratings here, and I showed them on screen when you were talking about it. Travis Kelce from Pro Football Focus is 88.8, number one. George Kittle at 87.6 is number two, and Jared Cook is third at 77.3, even above Gronkowski, Ertz, and Ebron as well. So that's definitely proof that this is a popularity contest for the NFL ratings. They want popular players voted by the fans because the Pro Bowl sucks, and they want the ratings from the fans.
And that's the truth too. And that's where, like, you know, as much as it sucks that our players got passed over, look, the Pro Bowl is awful. There's not a bigger NFL fan than I am. I watch and consume every bit of it that I possibly can. Sometimes too much, frankly. And I barely watch the Pro Bowl. I don't, there's nothing. The most interesting thing that happened last year were Drew Brees' kids fighting each other on the sidelines. You know what I mean? Like, they're just not very fun to watch because there's no, it's anticlimactic. There's nothing to it. There's absolutely nothing to it. At least the All-Star game in baseball comes in the middle point of the season. And back when I was a kid, you never got to see those leagues play each other unless it was a World Series. So it was a big deal. It was a big deal to watch the All-Star game. It was a big deal to have one of your A's players, or in your case, a Dodger, make it. You know, it was a big deal to have that happen. Nowadays, any of these All-Star games are kind of a letdown. In fact, out of anything, the NBA and the NHL All-Star games are the better of the leagues, and that's only because of their skills competitions. The skills competitions are fantastic in the NBA and in the NHL. So I don't know what NFL has to do to get this thing rectified, but I'm with you, Mikey. It's a terrible watch. It's not a good product at all.
Yeah, they're worried about too many injuries, but there is one place you can get a good Pro Bowl. It's on Madden. You get a great Pro Bowl on Madden. You get to play with all the popular players. It's freaking fantastic. So that's what they should do. They should just have Madden competitions and, a bunch of stuff like that. Drinking competitions. Let's see how drunk Drew Brees can get. Tom Brady claims to be a big drinker. There's videos out him or cartoon animations of him getting drunk with the Patriots. So let's do it. Let's do something different. I don't know. That's my thoughts. All right. Back to my Gruden hatred. John Gruden apparently is looking to restart failed quarterback Nathan Peterman's career with the Raiders. Okay. The question I ask is this a smart move or what for John Gruden and the Raiders? And your thoughts on it?
Yeah, this is a what move. Look, don't act brand new, Raider Nation. When I tell you that, I'm not talking to you, Mikey. I'm talking to who?
The proverbial you.
That's right. So, look, we've done this.
Oh, my God. Is that the picture that they printed for you that says proverbial?
That comes courtesy of our buddy Just Win Johnny and Hierographics. Look him up on Instagram. Yeah, that's his logo that he sent to us the other day. Isn't that cool? And that's the proverbial you.
I love it. I think I saved it. I got to show it to Raider Nation later.
Yeah. Put the proverbial you up there. Yeah, it's fantastic. Anyway, so he sent this updated one. It's got the Raider Super Bowl ring on it, which is really cool, on the knuckle there. It was kind of funny. He said I would send it with all the Raider Super Bowl rings, but it'll be too many to fit on the hand. I'm like, right on. But what were we talking about?
Nathan Peterman.
Nathan Peterman. All right. So we've done this numerous times. I mean, Jim Plunkett was a reclamation project. Rich Gannon was a reclamation project. We've had an entire history of reclamation projects, from Rodney Peete to Dante Culpepper. I mean, and they don't always work out, but we've done this a lot in the history of the organization. So this is another case of that. And not only is it that, but this is somebody that Gruden was high on and coming out of college, and okay. But the most important part of this, and this is the stuff that they'll leave out on ESPN, is that he's coming in to run the scout team because AJ McCarron is at the hospital with his wife giving birth to their child. So he's not there to run the scout team. So they bring in Peterman, and are they going to give him a shot? Sure. Just like they gave Christian Hackenberg a shot. Just like they give Matt Leinart a shot once upon a time. Like this, you know what I mean? So this is not like This is the stuff that Raider Nation, y'all get wound up about this because mainstream media puts this stuff in your head that this is like, oh, this is not Derek Carr's on his way out. No, he's not. Quit it with that and quit listening and quit paying attention to those people on ESPN. Quit listening to Stephen A. and listen to Jerry McDonald. That he will, somebody like that, Jerry, Matt Schneidman, Steve Corcoran, those are the guys. Pay attention to them. They'll give you the actuality of it. And the actuality of it is that this is nothing but somebody to come in and run reps at scout team while McCarron is off, celebrating the birth of his child.
All right, let me give a few thoughts where I completely disagree with your statement. And the question was, is it a smart move or what? I believe it's a ridiculous move for John Gruden and the Raiders because there's so much bad press already this entire season.
They don't care.
I don't care about that. I'm talking about the proverbial me, so let's do this. But yeah, I mean, John Gruden, all eyes are upon him. And this is another questionable move in terms of the press, the media, and whatever. And this, in my opinion, is another egotistical move by John Gruden wanting to prove he's a great coach. And he's also doing this, in my opinion, to save money next season. A.J. McCarron is apparently due $3 million if he's on the team next year. So Nathan Peterman can be the backup, at least going into camp. He'll have a cheaper contract. Gruden can maybe coach him up and maybe feed his ego and create a decent Rich Gannon backup quarterback or whatever to Gruden. But Gruden doesn't care about what the fans think, what the press thinks, and all that, and I wish he would. It looks like a bad face value decision at the end of the year. Again, it ain't a battle against Derek Carr, but also, will Derek Carr be sit down? I mean, those are questions you got to ask yourself.
Did you say?
I don't know what's going on.
Did you say all this when we signed Josh Johnson earlier this year?
Yeah, you brought up another good point. Why would he bring on Nathan Peterman?
Now answer my question. I'm being serious. Did you act?
No, I said I did not. I'm talking
why not?
About Peterman.
Why not?
When he signed Josh Johnson?
Yeah, why not?
Because Gruden at that point didn't trade Khalil Mack, didn't trade Amari Cooper.
What does that have to do with quarterback?
Didn't bring in that other quarterback, Christian Hackenberg. Josh Johnson was there before all these decisions.
Well, were you fired up like this when they signed Christian Hackenberg?
Like I said, Gruden had not made all these bad decisions.
What does it matter? What does any of that have to do with quarterback?
I'm telling you. And then A.J. McCarron is supposedly delivering a baby. Remember the running back Carlos Hyde? He left for a day, came back to the team. Why is A.J. McCarron not back? Why does he get the subtlety to stay with his wife for a week or two? And then why do they bring on
staying with
Carlos
his wife
Hyde
for a week or two, Mikey? You're talking about a few days during the week, man. These guys are human beings still, dude. It's not a big deal.
I'm just saying Carlos Hyde and a couple other players, I don't remember them taking like 3 days off before a game. I don't remember that. So I'm just saying it just looks weird to me. It's just a weird decision. Why didn't they bring back E.J. Manuel, who knows the system, at least from camp? Why didn't they bring back, somebody else, maybe a Connor Cook if he's available, whatever. Why did they bring back somebody to resurrect? It's just interesting me, and I think it's a bad move. All right. Do you mind playing the expert's opinion on the Nathan Peterman signing? I think it's audio clip number 2, brother.
Okay.
His opinion on this whole ordeal. I really thought he was gone.
You thought he was going away.
I said this yesterday. I felt like, when you go and put something on the corner of the street, it's like your trash. And then you wait for other people to pick up your trash, but somebody else comes and gets it first before the garbage guys get there. That's what happened to Nathan Peterman.
Yeah, look, I get it. He didn't play well for your Bills. Let's not disparage the guy. I mean, look, it's not like he's trying to go out there and play bad. And unfortunately, it hasn't worked out for him when he has. I think people are making a big deal about this because John Gruden, what he said back when he was an analyst about Nathan Peterman when he was coming out in the draft.
He's 24 years old, so he's still young. You're taking a flyer on him. But here's what I cannot stand. A couple things. One, when you see Colin Kaepernick still unsigned and the Raiders, it's so dumb because they're going to pay him pennies. It's going to be
he'll make league minimum.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think Colin Kaepernick would have signed if the Raiders would have said, "Yeah, we'll put you on a roster." He would have said no. So stop the lame narrative of saying that's the case. Yeah. You said just a couple minutes ago your days are long gone from the NFL. How old are you?
34.
There's 34. So you're getting up there This would have been one of the signings that if I was a guy, not Colin Kaepernick, if I was anybody and I was like 27, 28, still trying to hang on, this would have driven
Josh
me nuts.
Johnson, right?
Yes, this would have driven me nuts.
Gruden likes Nathan Peterman. He thinks he has a lot of potential. That's probably a lot to do with why he decided to sign him. He wants to take a flyer on him and see if maybe he can get him to be the quarterback he thought he should be.
So there you go. On screen, I have a picture called Deeper Thoughts. Any deeper thoughts on Nathan Peterman or with what you just heard?
I think that was a very fair analysis of the situation. I thought that was great. I don't know who that was. I recognize one of the voices in there, but that was perfect. All of them, except for that girl going on because she's a Bills fan, whatever. And I get why she's butthurt about it, but that doesn't have anything to do with the Raiders whatsoever. So no, as far as in terms of the analysis and how it pertains to the Raiders there, yeah, I think that was absolutely fair.
Yeah, it was a quarterback that played for the Raiders. I think he was a UCLA quarterback for the Browns. I don't know why. I should have wrote his name down, but
Brady Quinn?
Yeah, it was Brady Quinn. He's on CBS and all that other stuff right now.
Yeah, okay. That was the one I recognized. I didn't know who that other voice was. But yeah, no, that's fine. No, that was absolutely fair.
Yeah, but, the one guy did question whether other quarterbacks of a younger age, why were they not called? And that's my thoughts with like EJ Manuel. He was with the system. It just bothered me a little bit. And on screen, you can't see it, but John Gruden did the Nathan Peterman quarterback camp. And on screen, you have a picture of Kelvin Benjamin working with Nathan Peterman. Kelvin Benjamin was available, and John Gruden brought him into the quarterback camp and spoke very highly of Kelvin Benjamin and said he's one of the best red zone wide receivers in the league. And then John Gruden didn't even take a flyer on him on waivers 2 weeks ago. So it's just weird to me. It's just like Gruden is a personality on TV. And now I think he wants to prove his personality, from the quarterback camp and all that other stuff from the draft. I think he wants to prove it by signing some of these players and making them into a star so he could tell the public, see, I told you so. So it just bothers me. That's my final thoughts on that subject. Murph's like, I don't know. I love it. Okay, Derek Carr is having a fantastic season. He is approaching an NFL record for most completions in his first 5 seasons as a quarterback. The record currently is held by Peyton Manning at 1,750 completions. Derek Carr, as of right now, has 1,716. He needs 34 more completions in the next 2 games to pass Peyton Manning for the record. He's also on pace for the highest number of Raider quarterback completion at 69% in the season. So I ask of you, will he break the record? And is he our franchise quarterback for the future?
Yeah, I think he can break the record. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but absolutely. Considering the pace that he's been on in the offense and how it's working now and working into the high completion percentage. Yeah. And then they answer your question about, is he our French? Yes, absolutely. And I've made that point numerous times on this show and others that, is he an elite quarterback yet? No. Do I think that he's got the potential to be? Yes, absolutely. When properly equipped with weapons around him. And, the numbers this year tell you that. When you look at whether he's a top 10 quarterback or not.
Next year.
What do you mean?
Yeah, you can't see it on screen, but the question is he a top 10 quarterback next year?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And he's a top 10 quarterback now. When you look at there's 2 different ways to do it. You could do it by the eye test and the overall success of the team, or you could just really drill down into the numbers. And so when you look at the overall eye test of the team, I pulled a rankings poll from CBS Sports, and they have Derek Carr as 20th. Okay, so they have Phillip, Patrick Mahomes, Drew Brees, Russell Wilson, Andrew Luck, Deshaun Watson, number 6. Okay, you get to number 6 and you start to lose me a little bit. I'm not sure if I'd put Deshaun Watson ahead of Carr. Then Big Ben, Tom Brady, Jared Goff, Aaron Rodgers, Baker Mayfield, Kirk Cousins, Matt Ryan, Trubisky, Foles, Prescott, Allen, Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota, and then you get to Derek Carr at number 20. Now, so obviously there's about 6 or 7 names on this thing, easily that you could replace with Derek Carr. So the idea to put him as the 20th best quarterback in the league, I think is an absolute mistake. And so when you look at the numbers, Mikey, what do the numbers tell us? When in terms of yards, he's number 10 in the league right now in yards. And when you look at the names on this list, and I know this, we got to keep this short, but just follow me for a sec here. Now, when you look at the names on this list, just in yard totals, it goes Mahomes, Roethlisberger, Ryan, Goff, Brady, Rodgers, Luck, Rivers, Cousins, then Derek Carr. And when you look at those quarterbacks that are ahead of Derek Carr and the weapons and the personnel that surround the quarterback, Derek Carr and the Raiders pale in comparison. When you're talking about that we have one guy, Jared Cook, that's a bona fide, legit, elite target in the league, when these other guys all have 2 or 3 of those type players, the worst one is probably Rodgers, or excuse me, even Andrew Luck, where you look at Ebron and, T.Y. Hilton, right? And then after that, it kind of falls off. But heck, that's 2. The Raiders don't even have, they got 1. They don't even have 2. So my point being is that he's 10th in yards. He's in average completion, which everybody likes to rip on him about. In average yardage per completion, he's 7th on this list of these 10 guys. And he's absolutely number 1 in sacks by far, by a long shot, by 7 more than Matt Ryan. So when you look at the actual numbers, he's right in there. He absolutely is a top 10 quarterback. Now, is he elite? No. Is he Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers? No, he's not one of those guys yet. But next year, to answer your question, yes, he's a top 10 quarterback. Yes, he's a franchise quarterback, and he's on the precipice of being an elite quarterback. It's just going to be a matter of time once they load up some people around him.
Do you think he'll return to MVP form by 20 or maybe during the 2020 season, at least before that or at that time?
Brother, he already has. He already has, and that's the other big misnomer, is that everybody wants to point to the 2016 year and talk about how great he was in 2016 and will he return and will the Raiders return. He's already at that. When we look at the 2016 numbers, and I got them right here, in 2016 he threw for 3,900 yards, okay? He's thrown for 3,600 already this year, and he's got 2 more games to go. He threw for 28 touchdowns in 2016, and he's got 19 this year, so he's off on those. There is no doubt. But when you look at the amount of times he's been sacked, he was sacked 16 times in 2016. He's been sacked 47 times in 2018. So when you look at his numbers, his completion percentage is higher than it was. It's 5 points higher than it was that season. He's only thrown 8 interceptions, and he threw 6 all year in 2016, so he's only just a smidge above that. Like, by all accounts, the guy's playing just fine. He's not the problem. He is not the problem with our football team. And he is just like Rodney Hudson and just like Jared Cook, he goes underappreciated because we're 3-11. Look, our team has a lot of issues. We have a lot of holes. We have a lot of problems. We have a lot of areas to criticize. But listen, Raider Nation, quarterback is not one of them. Move on to something else because he is not the problem.
There it is, Murf bringing the stats again, and that's why I love the dude. I truly believe he is the Raiders franchise quarterback for the foreseeable future. He's starting to understand John Gruden's offense for, what it is, and it is a dink and dunk West Coast system type offense. Derek Carr is definitely starting to handle it at the end of the season, post his early bad decision-making early on. So he's definitely the Raiders franchise quarterback for the future. Unless Gruden goes off script and starts doing crazy things again, I really see Derek Carr working out with the Raiders.
He's going to be our all-time leader in everything next year. I mean, Kenny Stabler threw for just over 19,000 yards in his career. The Raiders have never had a 20,000-yard passer. Kenny threw almost 28,000 in his career, but as a Raider, he threw for just over 19,000, and he's got 150 touchdowns. Carr's got 122 total touchdowns, and he's thrown for 18,000 yards, or 18,387 is what I have here. So he feasibly could pass Kenny by the end of the year, but most likely he's going to pass Kenny. Actually, it'd be a stretch to get it. It's possible. If he had 2 monster games, he could catch Kenny this year, but most likely he's going to pass Kenny week 1. So if week 1 of the 2019 season, your all-time passing quarterback for the Raiders is going to be Derek Carr.
Awesome. I love it. He already broke a record this season. I think it was by Rich Gannon or whatever. I forget. But I don't think he's a top 10 quarterback next year or this year. I think he might fall between 15 or between 10 and 15. And do I think he can be MVP caliber by 2020? I really do. He's manning up lately, and I really enjoy watching it. So for the Derek Carr haters and all that, keep hating, do what you got to do. But just like Murf honestly said, and I believe him, I don't think Derek Carr is the problem. And I'm looking forward to the future with Derek Carr. All right. So John Gruden as a general manager. This season, we all know he was the general manager. They just fired Reggie McKenzie. And now we're going to find out who he brings on as the general manager in the coming weeks. So that's why I asked the question, will the new general manager be a patsy like Reggie possibly was under John Gruden? I mean, is John Gruden taking on too many roles? Let's listen to what Greg Papa had to say about this. And I love this take on, I miss Greg Papa, and I love this take. And I just really want Raider Nation to listen to this. This is Greg Papa on John Gruden as a GM and what he's going to do next.
Your thoughts on what Gruden had to say in the firing of Reggie McKenzie?
Yeah, he's obviously trying to make it seem like he wasn't involved in any of it. He's going to be involved in the firing of the GM, and it's going to be a little bit like Kyle Shanahan's role in hiring John Lynch, I would think. I mean, it may even be more hands-on. I think that is going to be the critical hire, because as much as John may want to do, it's just difficult. He's going to have people in the building he trusts. And whether or not he got along with Reggie or whether or not they had a similar football philosophy, there was a disconnect reportedly from the beginning.
I'm not going to sit up here today and talk about any disconnect. We were connected.
I don't think Reggie would have traded Khalil Mack, especially when you have him under contract and the ability to franchise tag him once or twice. You could have played hardball with the guy. It's the best player that probably Reggie will ever draft. To go ahead and trade him before his rookie contract is up is just inexplicable. It's just how would you do that? So John's going to have to bring in a lot of people that he trusts. Dave Rosano's already in the building. I've talked about Mike Lombardi. I'm trying to go back in John's years where people that he really trusts, you have to have his trust, and you have to have the ability to tell him, no, you're wrong. We can't do this. We cannot trade Khalil Mack now. We just cannot. And you're going to have to ride it out, and you're going to have to answer the questions to the media every, Monday and Wednesday and Thursday, and every day you meet the media, which is every day in the NFL just about. You're going to have to. We're just not doing that. It's for the better of the franchise. So he's going to have somebody in. I don't know, beyond Michael, or if Michael even, they got along well here, but he's got other people. Bruce Allen really does not evaluate talent. Bruce Allen's a contract guy. He's an agent. So you've got to get a lot of people there. And I think of Brad Kaplan and all the people that are on Reggie's staff, Joey, and there's just so many. I mean, there's a lot of people you never heard of. How does this impact them? Are they out immediately? And the reason you do it now, as I said earlier, is that the college football season is over now. And in between the college games and the championship games and before the bowl games start, the draft, the scouts come in and they have a meeting and they go over the whole country and your East Coast start and your Southeast, and they've got dozens of people that do this in different areas of the country. You bring them all in and you have a meeting. And if you're determining that the leader of the meeting is not going to be leading the draft board, then you got to let them all know now. So, I don't know how far it goes. You're going to have to keep a lot of those scouts because they've been doing this for a long time. So you're prepared for April. But the rebuilding of this franchise, Bonte, is going to be done through the draft in every regard. He had to deconstruct the team, and then he had to reconstruct it. And I think we felt as though he had made some draft picks that were good. That one draft will go down as one of the best ones in the history of the franchise. But you wind up trading him, and then Amari underachieved. Now Amari's a great player, which leads to, why didn't John and this coaching staff get the Amari Cooper that we're seeing dominate the NFL since he left here? Why couldn't he do that here? So you're gonna have to bring in a GM, and John will be involved in it. I'm sure it'll be someone that has John's not only blessing, but work with John somewhere else. But who's that guy? I don't know. Outside of Michael Lombardi, Who has John worked with in the past that he's going to trust to be able to really not just help him, but show him? John's a great football coach, a great offensive mind, play designer, play caller, but he's going to have to really nail these draft picks. Otherwise, the next firing is going to be somebody else and not the GM you're hiring.
Very interesting. Your thoughts? Is John Gruden taking on too many roles? Will the new GM be a patsy like Reggie? I just want to know, how you address this situation.
Yeah, so I don't think that the new GM is going to be a patsy, but I don't think the new GM is going to be a conventional general manager though either. I think that you're going to have some form of football executive / talent evaluator, and he referred to Bruce Allen being a contract guy, like an agent. Well, I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily, because if John's going to rely on himself and other people to do the personnel evaluation portion of it, then he's going to need someone like that that's going to be able to handle the contractual side of it, because that's not what he's good at. When Reggie that was Reggie's strong suit, frankly. And so, I don't think that there's, I'm not as opposed to this whole thing and the way that some have reacted to it, including Papa. Now, Grant, I think Papa too is a whole nother thing that he's just been rallying against the Raiders ever since they fired him. And so, but this whole criticism of Gruden, look, it's real easy. It's real easy to point a finger at somebody and say, you suck. I mean, it's really easy to do that. People do it all the time, and especially in the age of the internet, in the age of social media, it's real easy to look at something and just go, well, that sucks. Okay. But what's hard to do is to seek understanding and to seek a reason why that maybe things are going the way that they're going, and to pretend like, Gruden doesn't know what he's doing, that he's just making these wild decisions and he's trading away Hall of Famers just because, and all that. I think that concept and that idea it's not only is it unprofessional, but it's lazy. It's so lazy for Greg Papa to evaluate the team at that level, because you truly can't evaluate the impact of these moves and the impact of the departure of Reggie McKenzie, for like 3 to 5 years. Like everybody, it drives me nuts every year when you hear people say, oh, who won this year's draft? Nobody won this year's draft, because you can't tell if somebody won a draft until later on. He referenced the 2014 draft in there and about how that was going to go down as one of the greatest. Yeah, because now look at how far away we are. We're 4 years from that. So you can look back on it and go, okay, Gabe Jackson was great. Derek Carr is great. Khalil Mack was great. Sure you can, but you can't criticize. You can't make these kind of references and these broad strokes at this point on the short term. It just doesn't work like that. So, what? I kind of gave up on Greg Papa a long time ago. Look, I miss him too, Mikey. You let off by saying you miss him. I do too. I miss hearing him call football games. But this whole sour grapes thing that he's got going now against the Raiders and constantly taking opportunities to take shots at him, I don't appreciate it. They're still my favorite team. He was an announcer for my favorite team. You know what I mean? Like, see you, Greg. I don't know. I don't like it. It comes off as petty.
Well, it's funny. I didn't hear any shots taken in that statement by Greg Papa at all. I didn't personally hear any. I heard him say he's a great coach.
He said Amari Cooper's, he traded away a guy that was dominating in Dallas, and why couldn't John Gruden and his coaching staff find that same player when he was in Oakland? That's a shot. That's absolutely taking a shot at Gruden. And look, we know Amari Cooper can dominate football games. He's been doing it for the Raiders, but he also has a tendency to disappear at times, just like he did for the Cowboys last week. And he's going to continue to do that, and that's not worth $17 million. And that's why you traded him. That's why the Raiders traded him away. So like that, but he leaves that stuff out conveniently because it doesn't fit his story. It doesn't fit his narrative. His narrative is that the Raiders don't know what they're doing, and then that's why they're making the decisions that they are. And it's all because he feels wronged because they fired him.
Well, again, I didn't personally hear any shots. I heard him say he's a great coach, that he's possibly taking on too many roles, and he needs somebody to basically kind of hold him in check every once in a while. That's what I heard from it. Yes, there were, questions about McKenzie and Cooper, and I could see you say that's taking a shot, but I don't think Greg Papa did anything too bad in that statement. I've done so much more worse in my videos. I thought that was actually a very pleasant way for Greg Papa to say, I don't understand what he's doing, why he couldn't get something out of Amari Cooper, and, but he's a great coach, but he needs somebody to hold him in check. So I ask you the final question on this.
Okay.
Personally, do you think John Gruden is taking on too many roles in this team.
I do. Despite everything that I just said about it, yeah, I do. I think there's a case of being a jack of all trades and a master of none. And John Gruden is a masterful football coach. He's a masterful leader. He knows how to run an offense. He knows how to call a game. That is what he does best. He has proven with a track record that evaluation of talent at times is not his strong suit. It's certainly not his strongest suit. So yes, to have somebody that he can bounce things off of, to advise him in his role, yes, absolutely. I think that is necessary. Because it doesn't matter who you are. You have to have a cabinet of advisors. And so, yes, John Gruden is absolutely going to need that, because if he tries to do it all on his own, he's not going to be able to. Only one person has ever in the history of the league proven to be successful at that, at least in the modern day league. And that's been Bill Belichick. And even Bill Belichick has, when you look at his history of coordinators, he's got amazing coordinators. So even he is not doing it completely alone. He's got Matt Patricia and Romeo Crennel and Josh McDaniels and, you know what I mean, Eric Mangini. He's had amazing coordinators with him along the way. So yes, I think that it's absolutely critical that John Gruden builds a team of people around him, a team of coaches around him and advisors around him, just like you need to build a team of players around you.
I completely agree. I think he's taken on too many roles. I want him just to be a coach. The last couple weeks, he kind of focused in more on coaching, or he said that in the media, but and it was showing on the field. So I really enjoyed that. And I'm tired of yes men around John Gruden, where they do whatever he says. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Reggie McKenzie was a yes man. And I think, and I hope for his own safety, John Gruden will pick somebody that'll be combative to him, at least on occasion, just to keep him in check a little bit. Hire me.
There you go.
I'll tell John Gruden all the right moves. Isn't that a movie in the 80s, All the Right Moves, with Tom Cruise?
It sure is. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to sing the theme song, but no, it's not. I'm only singing if the Chiefs win. I mean, if the Raiders beat the Chiefs. Boy,
that's true.
That was a Freudian slip there, huh?
Well, as you can't see it on screen, but there's a fan poll that asked the question, how confident are Raider fans in the direction of the team? And in week 1 of the season, they were almost at 100%. And then you can see it falters. And now at week 15, it's hovering just below 50%. So I ask you the question, from 0 to 100%, how confident are you, Murf, in the direction of the team at this exact moment?
I am 100% confident in the team at this moment. Now, I don't like the way that our record has turned out. I don't like losing. I don't like seeing the team play flat on Sundays like we did in Cincinnati or like we did against the Niners on national television. I don't like that stuff, and it drives me nuts and it pisses me off and it makes, fills me with anger and all those things. But in terms of the overall direction of the team, yeah, because again, I don't have any reason to believe otherwise. And I'm ride or die with this team, and you people can call me a bootlicker and all that other kind of stuff. But look, until I know that we have inept leadership and an inept coaching staff, and I'll be the first one to say that they suck when they suck. But right now they don't suck. You know what sucks? Following up a playoff run with a 6-10 season. That sucks. That's a coaching regression. You want to see terrible coaching in play? Watch that. You want to see terrible coaching? Go research the freaking, 2006 Raiders. Like that. That's bad coaching. So as far as confidence in the direction, I have all the confidence in the world. Now, does that mean it's going to play out? No, but I understand the plan because I'm at least willing to embrace the plan. Is the plan going to work? We'll find out, but I'm willing to embrace it along the way.
There it is. Murphy is 100% all in still. At the beginning of the season, I was at 50%. I was already a little nervous about Gruden coming in, and I had plenty of issues. I was 50% in the beginning of the season. Now, if you ask me to today, I might have been at 10% about 3 weeks ago. But then we beat the Steelers. And the players are kind of playing good, and the coaching kind of started, and now I'm at 30%. I like to see the coaching happen, and I like the way the players are responding at the end of the season. Whether we got all the victories every week or not, they are at least responding. So I'm at 30% confidence at this moment, and I'm hoping after the draft, maybe I'll be at 50 again, and then maybe the start of next season I'll be upwards of 60. But I don't know if I'm going to be at 100% until maybe they're officially in Vegas. That's just my statement, and I'm sticking to it. All right, let's look at Marshawn Lynch's career stats. He has 2,441 carries, over 10,379 yards, and 84 touchdowns. His career might possibly be over. He might officially retire and not play for the Raiders next year or retire again. But I would like to see him on the sidelines, and maybe after the game, he'll throw his shoes on a telephone wire or something again to make the statement that he's gone. Some quick thoughts on Marshawn Lynch, possibly, ending his career with the Raiders officially.
Yeah, this is the saddest I'll be of all year. I'll be all year. I mean, even more than the wins and losses. I think that when you talk about a career, and let's just call it, it's an epic career that he had. Unfortunately, it wasn't all with the Raiders, but the guy has been a really fun football player to watch on the field. He's had some electrifying moments on the field. He's been a great personality off the field. Everything from back in his days at Cal, riding around on the golf cart, or when he went back to Cal and rode the golf cart, to the stuff he did with Conan O'Brien and Gronk before the Super Bowl, the video game things, all the way up into this week when he went and spoke to the City Council of Oakland and talked to them about the importance of retaining the A's and keeping them in Oakland. Everything that Marshawn has done in his career, I've everything except for one incident, the Marcus Peters thing that he did when he defended a Chief over the Raiders. That was the only time he lost me. But outside of that, I've loved everything that the guy has done in his career, and I think he has become a Raider quicker and is really personified what it is to be a Raider better than a lot of people that wore the silver and black for their entirety of their career, or at least done more significant things wearing a Raider uniform. So I am sad that he's not going to get a chance to put on the uniform one last time in front of a home Oakland crowd, which is, his beloved Oakland. And I just, that sucks, man. That's, there's a lot of poetic things that happen in sports, but this is not going to be one of them, and I think the idea that he's coming back next year, I think that's a long shot at best. He's coming off of injury, being on the wrong side of 30, I mean, I don't, not being in Oakland anymore. I don't see it. So, hopefully he'll at least get a moment to tip his hat to the crowd and give the crowd a chance to applaud and appreciate him and for what he's done. Because here's the other last thing I'll say, because not only has he done an amazing thing, or has he been amazing playing for the Raiders and being fun to watch, and and just watching him and the tenacity that he brings to the position, but he does that off the field as well. All the different philanthropic things that he's done, the charitable things that he's done. The guy's he's legit, man. I'm a Marshawn guy. I'm a Marshawn fan. And so anyways, I think that's a bummer that he's not going to get a chance to put on the uniform one last time, Mikey.
Hey, you know what? They're still going to be called the Oakland Raiders, whether they play in San Francisco at Giant Stadium or not. So you never know. Maybe Marshawn's like, you know what? I'm going to stick it out, because at least in name, they are still the Oakland Raiders. And I hope that to be a possibility. But I'm going to do a quick impression of Marshawn Lynch at City Hall. Marshawn went to City Hall the other day, and I'm going to do a quick impression of him. Oakland is losing the Raiders. They lost the Warriors. You best not lose the A's. Thank you. Goodbye. That's exactly what he said. It was great. All right, Raider Nation, you're going to get mad at me for showing this stat, but this is Khalil Mack with the Chicago Bears this year. More sacks than the entire Raiders team. I hate looking at this, so I'm going to take it off screen. But I still showed it because I'm a jerk. All right, this is Amari Cooper stats with the Cowboys ever since he was traded. 7 games, over 670 yards, 6 touchdowns. This pisses me off even more. So I'm taking it off screen. But now we're going to go to something positive. You can't see it, Murf. You can watch it on the after show. But my friend went to a place called Candy Cane Alley, and he filmed they have houses with Christmas lights all down the street for like 5 blocks. And apparently there's a candy cane Christmas tree lighted Raider Nation house. And he filmed it and he spoke about me in this video. And it was pretty awesome how the owner of the house knows me. And they mentioned me in this video. So here we go. So there it is. There's the candy cane Raider house as seen from afar. And I'm just proud that I can't believe it. He's fans of us, Murf. You know, they spoke about me. They didn't say Murf, but I know they're fans of you as well. But it's kind of cool to have a whole lighted up Christmas Raider house, even though it looks like he has some cowboy stuff on that house. I'm not going to talk about that. But would you decorate your entire house in Raider lights and Christmas tree stuff if you had the money or the materials?
Yeah, I mean, where I live in Middle Tennessee would kind of look goofy for me to Raiderize my house, but yeah, absolutely that I would if I lived in the appropriate part of the world. I mean, you get some out of market stuff here where people will put, I'm in Tennessee, but there's a lot of Alabama fans, so people will Alabama-ize their house. But the inside of my house is it's definitely completely Raiderized, and my neighbors are fully aware who the football team is around in these at least on this cul-de-sac. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I'd dress up my house in Raider stuff. Why not?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Check out his videos on YouTube, link below. You'll definitely see all his house, his memorabilia, his Christmas Raider tree, all that amazing other stuff in upcoming videos. You can't see this video, so this is going to be funny. But I have a picture on screen of like a metal type robot that was built with leftover parts wearing a Raider T-shirt. So caption it. Even though you can't see it, caption it. This will be fun.
Oh, I'm not good at these things, Mikey. I'm not good at them anyways, let alone when I can't see them.
Have you ever seen Johnny Five, the movie with Johnny Five called Short Circuit?
Short Circuit with Steve Gutenberg? Yes, I've seen that movie.
Imagine a metal robot that kind of looks like that was made with a Raider like jersey shirt on.
I don't know.
All alone in the middle of the road.
Gosh, I don't know, man. I'm so terrible at these. I don't know. 3 and 11 does not compute.
I love it. That's pretty awesome. It actually works. You're going to like it. Okay. I'll caption it by saying, what does ET say? He says,
phone
home.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one, my opinion, it would say, Oakland Raiders don't leave home. No goal away from home. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not good at this either, Murph. You messed it all up. Messed it all up, man.
It's the caption contest and the predictions. Those are the two things three things. The caption contest and the predictions I completely fail at. And apparently my thumb dance that I do in the beginning of the show that's been now referred to as my thumb dance. Apparently that's a fail as well, Mikey.
Well, trust me, I'm cringeworthy as well on every episode. So don't get me wrong. All right, we normally do a game review, but you know what? Since it's such a big Monday night football game, let's get into some headlines before the game, and let's do an actual game preview of like the storylines and the headlines. So the Raiders face the Broncos in week 16 of the NFL season in a possibility of the last home game in Oakland. Mark Davis, the Raiders, nobody's speaking on it. They don't want it to be known. They don't know where they're going to play next year, so they're still leaving it open. But I just want to know your quick thoughts on this game, and then we'll get into some headlines. So how do you feel about this Denver Bronco game? It feels 100% different to me.
Yeah, so are you asking me what about the matchups and about the gameplay, or about just the game as a whole?
Yeah, your general impressions of this game on Monday night, how it feels to you. Like, is it a season ender? Is it an Oakland ender? Just all the thoughts that are in your head for this game.
Gosh, I don't. That's a phenomenal question. Is as easy as you would think it would be to answer. It's not, because there's so many different dynamics that are going into play. Here it is. I hate the Broncos more than any other team in the NFL, and we have a lot to choose from as Raider fans. We have a lot of rivals, obviously the ones in our division, but, whether it's the Jets or Pittsburgh or the Patriots or the Niners or even the Cowboys, like there's a lot of out of conference and out of division rivals as well. So, but the Broncos are mine. I absolutely despise them. I absolutely despise John Elway. I did not like Peyton Manning. I don't like the way Lynch is running. Nothing about them. whatever. I could go on forever. I could do an entire podcast on my hatred for the stupid Broncos. But so that said, so I already have that. And then you had the fact that it's a Monday night game. It's a primetime game. Then you had the fact that it's on Christmas Eve. And then you had the fact that it's the last time they're ever going to play there. And, you know, with all the dynamics that are working this season, it's neither one of these teams have anything to play for. It's absolutely going to be a pride play, but everybody is going to be watching because it's on Christmas Eve. Even my wife, God bless her, you know, we talked about, you know, we're going to go to church earlier in the day and we're going to have an early dinner. We're going to do whatever. And she said, you know, we'll go home, we'll take naps, and then we can get up and watch the Raiders. And I'm like, gosh dang, I love you. You know what I mean? And so it's like, you know, like even my wife, who's not a football fan, she's a football fan by proxy through me, is, you know, kind of loosely structured our day in a way to where, you know, we're going to watch the Raiders play on Christmas Eve, you know, and so it's a big deal, man. It's a big freaking deal. And so I think that this is a nice way, just like the Steelers game was, this is going to be a nice way for the Raiders to silence a lot of critics, to show that they are at least capable of you know, not only winning a football game, but representing in a good way. And look, I'm partial, and I know it's a dump, and I know all that stuff about the Oakland Coliseum, but it's still, to me, because of my history there as a fan, it still means a lot to me to see them in prime time, to see it against that, you know, that dark sky and that, you know, everybody wearing black in the stands against that bright, you know, green field. And I just, man, I'm almost feeling like I'm gonna get emotional here. I'm not, but it's going to mean a lot. And they might lose by 30 points, you know? And so I'm really trying to temper going into this game with any expectations and just trying to embrace the, not severity of it, but the overall gravity of the situation, that there's a lot of things all coming to play at one time. And so, you know, so I don't want to let the team's play take away the impact from the fact that it's the last game. Now, because it's the last game, a win is absolutely necessary. I don't think anybody wants to see them depart Oakland on an L. But with the way that we've been playing this year, it's like, well, what else do you expect? Expect them to lose. But I think it would be amazing, and it could potentially be transformational for this team if they win. Much like, I go all the way back to that 1999 season when the Raiders played at Kansas City and we knocked them out of the playoffs, and the Raiders only finished like 8-8 that year, but they knocked Kansas City out of the playoffs. And Darrell Russell famously walking off that field said, they going home and we going home. And
do you officially think it is the last game? I mean, the media is not really talking about it. Mark Davis is not talking about it.
Yeah, they're not talking about it because they want to downplay it, because they don't want people to tear off everything that says Oakland Raiders on it and put it in their pocket, carry it out of the stadium or the seats and everything else. And, you know, we have we know some folks that are listeners to our show that are going to the game and have just reached out to us and said, hey, just want to let you know this is where we're going, and, you know, pray for us for safe travels and a safe experience. And I don't think it's going to be bedlam there. It's not going to be, you know, nickel beer night at the Oakland Coliseum, but I think it's going to be a pretty wild scene. I think that, you know, look, people are going to be looking to take a piece of the stadium home with them. And so it's going to be interesting. People might, you know, even go on the field, which is also not unheard of. You know, that look, after the 1976 AFC Championship, we stormed the field. Just go back and look at it. Look at all them hippies running around on the field back then. So there's been times where it's happened. And I think that that's a likely scenario. And I don't think any of us will be, you know, we'll be shocked by that. But yeah, I think, and not only is it going to be the last game in Oakland, I disagree with you on them being the Oakland Raiders next year. I think the Raiders have turned a middle finger at this point to the city of Oakland, not the fans. And there's a distinct difference there. That's not I'm talking about the city, the politicians, the powers that be. The friggin' Raiders have want nothing to do to promote that team. That city. All you got to do is look at the beanies that the Raiders are selling this year. They don't say Oakland on them. They say Raiders. And every other team, it says their city of origin there. And the Raiders are the only one that don't. They're not going to, and any merch you find of the Raiders doesn't say Oakland anymore. They're not going to be the Oakland Raiders. If they play somewhere else, as Uncle Mosh said this last week on Raiders Fan Radio, they're going to be the Raiders. They're not going to have an association to it. If anything, they'll adopt Vegas early. But I don't think they're going to represent Oakland anymore going forward. So yes, long answer question, but I answered it long because I'm passionate about it, and I hope the rest of you are as well. I hope the rest of you listening to this show are as well. Man, if you're a Raider fan, this hits you in a lot of different ways. There should be some emotion stirred up in you, regardless of whether you're a fan in Scotland or Los Angeles or Oakland or wherever. Man, this is going to be a big deal on Monday.
Well, when Amy Trask speaks, the first like CEO or whatever of the Raiders, when she speaks, Raider Nation listens. And on a podcast maybe about 3-4 days ago, she said that Mark Davis should throw a party, and this is what he should do because they are leaving Oakland. Let's hear what she had to say, and let's get your thoughts on this.
Parking lots early. They should get if not every, most local Oakland musical artists. Hammer, Too Short, Adam Duritz from Counting Crows, the local, and I'd start with Hammer, and then I'd go Too Short. Mm-hmm. Get all those artists there, have a free concert for fans in the parking lot. I would spend a lot of money on this. I would make concessions free for the whole game. Pre-game, while that concert's going on in the parking lot, I would have the fans be able to mix and mingle with Raider legends from days gone by and get hugs and autographs. And after the game, I would allow the fans to come down on the field and mix and mingle with current players and current coaches. This needs to be a thank you and a salute and an appreciation to the magnificent, magnificent Raider Nation. I understand that a tremendous number of fans are going to follow the team and root for them when they're in Las Vegas. There are other fans whose hearts are breaking. The fans have supported this team through thick and thin, and this should be a festival for the fans. Get Hammer on the phone, get Too Short on the phone, get Adam Duritz on the phone, have a concert. All the fans should get free food and mix and mingle with everyone.
You're giving me the chills. That's...
I'm not done yet, but, those are just a few ideas. And by the way, it's going to cost a lot of money to do that. Spend it. Spend it on those fans.
Look, I love Amy Trask. There's too many variables to that story that really couldn't have gotten done. But she was speaking from the heart on what she felt Mark Davis should do in an attempt to at least please some fans and respect the city of Oakland at this time of leaving. I know it wasn't going to happen. It was too whatever. But this proves that Mark Davis doesn't even want to associate with the Raiders, doesn't want to spend the money, and he's not, from my perspective, I don't think he's doing anything special because he doesn't want to make it officially known that he's leaving. But I think Mark Davis, for the first time in his life, should have done something for this game because most of us know it's the end. And I wish he would have addressed it truthfully and been honest for the final time in Oakland. Your thoughts on this situation?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything that you just said in terms of, what are the actualities of getting all of those people in place and doing all those free things and doing all that, letting the fans come and mingle on the field with the players. Last time that we saw fans mingle with the players was Donald Penn almost fought one of them in the parking lot. Like, I don't know how great of an idea that is, but the concept of the idea of doing extra and to signify the moment based on everything that I just talked about a few minutes ago. Yes, absolutely. I'm with Amy Trask on that. Let's embrace the history. Let's embrace the amazing things from that 76 championship game to the Heidi Bowl, all the different things that have happened in that stadium, all the different famous moments that have happened, have people like Villapiano and all them, out there. Absolutely. And in terms of those artists and whatnot, the people that are outside of football, aren't those people going to be there anyways? Like, I mean, heck, Hammer was there. I saw him. He was at the freaking season opener this year. Like, I mean, those Too Short and all that, James Hetfield from Metallica and all. I mean, if those guys aren't away on tour or aren't already, Ice Cube, if they're not already out doing something, Absolutely, they will be there, and they should. I mean, look, Metallica played a live concert in the parking lot before the 2002 AFC Championship game. The Raiders didn't request that. Al Davis didn't reach out to Metallica and go, hey, I want you guys to come play. No, they just did it. And so, if those artists feel compelled to do that kind of stuff, then good for them, and I think that it would be an absolute tip of the cap to the Raider Nation, and those types of things should happen. But I'm telling you, man, with the lawsuit, changed everything. And when the city of Oakland filed that lawsuit, it absolutely put a line in the sand, and Mark Davis is not going to do anything to do the city of Oakland any favors. That means he's not going to bring them any extra attention. He's certainly not going to bring them any additional revenue. So this whole idea of what Amy's saying that, just do all this free stuff. Yeah, right. Good luck with that. The Raiders are not going to do that considering that this lawsuit just happened. But I appreciate her passion. I appreciate the sentiment behind it. And so it will be nice to see something. But Mikey, I don't know what the feasibility is of all of us getting it, all of that.
Yeah, no, I know it's not going to happen. I just love the idea of it and the thought. But I mean, truthfully, some of it could happen, whether the fans make it happen themselves or not, like whether they storm the field or if they mingle with the players. I don't think Raider Nation would hurt any of the players. I think it would create NFL history on film on Monday Night Football. The Raider Nation, I don't care what you say about us, whether we're thugs or mean or this or that. That is ridiculous. We are a family. And I guarantee you, the Raider fans might be mad and jump onto the field, but the minute they're next to Derek Carr, or if they even hate him, they're going to hug him and say, man, I love you. I love you. Because that's how Raider Nation is. Whether we're mad at them or not, we're just going to be proud to be next to a Raider on the field in the last game in Oakland, and that would create television Monday Night Football in NFL history, where players and fans mingled together on the field for the last moments of Oakland history. I think it could be done, and gosh darn it, I hope it happens. So, all right, let me see if I got another graphic. Marshawn Lynch. Yes, I have that picture on screen. Marshawn Lynch, jersey number is 24. This game is happening on the 24th. Do you think Marshawn Lynch, I made a theory where I think he should suit up and get on the field regardless whether the team gets fined or not. And then they should play that, because it's all about Oakland, though, the hyphy song. And he needs to dance, like in the middle of the game with the jersey on, the helmet, and everything, no matter what, with the entire team. I don't care if the NFL fines him. Mark Davis needs to take his broke, cheap butt and pay that fine. What are your thoughts on that? Would you like to see that happen?
Yeah, that's the kind of moment that I would love to see. When I talked about Marshawn earlier, I hope there's a moment like it. Now, he's not going to run up into the middle of the field, with his helmet on, but could he, look, we saw him dancing on the sidelines in his uniform last year during the Jets game. Could we see him, wearing his whatever they wear on the sidelines when they're not playing, their workout clothes or sweats, whatever the heck they're wearing, but that with a jersey, and like have him start dancing to a song like that, and maybe kind of drift off towards the field a little bit, get the crowd fired. Absolutely. I think that would be amazing. I think that would absolutely be amazing. And those are the type of moments that I hope that the Raiders will allow for. And I think they will. I definitely think they will. We're going to see something. Like, it's too significant of an event for it to not something happen. You know what I mean? Like, those kinds of moments are going to be a part of this thing. And so, and again, and the better they play too, the more likely it is that these things do happen, right?
Yeah, maybe after a touchdown or something, or, like right before a kickoff, coming out of a TV timeout or something, just start it, please. But you never know what, I don't know, but I want to see it happen. I think something interesting is going to happen on Monday Night Football, like in terms of a history-making moment for the team.
Yeah, I agree. Something's going to happen. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be great, man. It's going to be awesome.
All right, so here's the question. We kind of answered it a second ago. Do you believe Raider Nation, no matter win or lose, should storm the field and maybe, again, if they want to protest, or if they just want to stand in unison, throw up an O and yell out Raiders for 10 minutes? Do you think they should? And would you do it if you were there?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that idea, man. Standing up and throwing up the O and chanting Raiders. Oh my gosh, it gives me chills kind of, Yeah, that absolutely should happen. Something like that, to that effect. And, again, I mentioned earlier, look, fans have been on that field, but I have been on that field after an A's game. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's not completely, out of the realm of possibility that the fans go on the field after the game. Now, they're going to have way amped up security. So I don't know how much the Raiders or the NFL is going to allow things like that to happen. It's a much different world that we're in now than what it was in 1976 or even in the 90s when I was did it during a baseball game or after a baseball game. But it's just, so I hope everyone's safe and considerate, and it's going to be wild no matter what, right? And that's okay. Wild and chaotic at times is not necessarily a bad thing. Every Raider game is like that anyways, but you just don't want it to be, you want to see it get unsafe because there's, kids around and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that, some sort of tribute, something to honor the fans and to do that. I think that would be amazing. I don't know who's coming to light the torch. That would be how cool would it be to have Woodson there to light the torch, the guy that really kind of started that whole throwing up the O thing.
Doesn't he work Monday Night Football or the countdown?
He does. Yeah, he does. He works the countdown show. So, he's going to be in town.
Sunday, right? I think that's Sunday though.
No, but he does him and Moss and all them. They do that. Yeah. And they do that whole thing where they go to, I don't watch ESPN much anymore, but they do that thing where they go to like different, places in the city, like before the game and hang out and all that kind of stuff. So absolutely. I think if you have Woodson light the torch and throw up the O and get the crowd going, like that's, again, I'm getting chills, man. That's the kind of stuff that's going to be good. And so I'm with you at the end of the game, hopefully something like that to signify the, the overall, again, the gravity of the event and the situation. I think it'd be great.
This is, again, there's so much to take in with this game that you can't even do a game preview, in terms of the players. You can't, it's like, there's too much to fathom. I actually think that there will be a report that the Raiders are going to stay in Oakland earlier that day or just the day before, just to possibly please the crowd, so they can get the game over and done with. I could see that report coming out. Yeah.
I agree. Just to kind of quell it a little bit, you know what I mean? Kind of quiet things down, keep people from, shredding the place or whatever. But look, it's not like you can go in there with a bunch of 9/16 wrenches and sockets and you know what I mean? It's not like people are gonna be busting out power tools, taking things apart. But yeah, I could see them releasing something like that to try to, temper it a little bit. Yeah.
Bring the Gruden hammer.
There you go.
We can bring the Gruden hammer. Would you take a piece of the field or anything if you could, Murph, without anybody watching? Be honest.
Well, I've eaten the grass. I've eaten the grass in right field. As I mentioned, after an A's game, I went on the field and I ate the grass in right field because Reggie Jackson was my all-time favorite A's player for many, many years. Still is. And that's where he played. So I ate the grass in right field. And that was back when I used to partake. And that's what happens when you get overserved. You do goofy things like eat grass. And so, so I literally have ingested the field of that facility. Would I take something? I don't know. I mean, you've heard me mention before that, I've been going to the Oakland Coliseum literally since my mother was pregnant with me. I went to the 72 World Series and have spent, countless times there for A's games, for Raiders games, for monster truck rallies. My first concert was next door at before it was even Oracle, when it was the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum Arena. And I've spent a lot of time on those acres right there. And so I don't know if I necessarily, the memories that I have of being there with my dad and other family members and friends and, going on my own and cutting. I used to cut school and go to A's games, all that kind of stuff. I think that would be enough. And I've got enough pictures and all that. I don't feel like I would need to have a piece of the stadium with me, but if I was a PSL holder and if I was paying for my seat for the last, I don't know, however long, 15 years or whatever. And that seat I've been sitting in, would I be tempted to unbolt that sucker or take something home, take the seat with the fold down portion of it with me? Maybe. I don't know. I guess it would depend on how crazy it started getting around me. I mean, I don't condone vandalism by any means, but yeah, I mean, I could see why people would do something like that, but I don't think I would go too crazy with it, especially if I was with my kids. I want to be like setting an example, be like, okay, kids, like, just because, things are over, so you're now entitled to steal and vandalize. Like, I don't know if I would condone that. I mean, the A's are still going to play there next year, so they still got to have seats. So if you take your seats with them, someone's got to pay for it to replace it.
You know what? In a weird world, I might as well take one of the rats. One of the rats that, infest the O.co Coliseum. Maybe he'll still be alive, so, I'll have a pet for a few years. Or if he dies, then I got the bones that were in the stadium on the last game. Or if I can bring 7 of my friends, if they all know welding, I'm taking that torch. All 7 of us are going to take the Al Davis torch with all the autographs, because that's going to be some money.
There you go. I would take Reggie Nelson.
That's what
I would take Reggie home because I don't want him playing for us anymore. I'm just taking Reggie Nelson home with me. Come on, Reggie, you're coming with us, man. We've had enough of this, of you wearing this uniform. You're coming with us.
All right, you know what? Let's do it. There's a movie where they kidnap a basketball player and hold him for ransom. Let's steal a Denver Bronco. Do we take Case Keenum? Who do we take from the Denver Broncos?
No, leave him there. We want to see him playing forever. Let's take somebody like Philip Lindsay, who's actually going to, you know what I mean, could be a detriment to our team in the future. Yeah, let's kidnap Von Miller. Let's just go for it, man. Who is it that it was Celtic Pride. It was Dan Aykroyd and Daniel Stern, and they kidnapped, who was it?
Damon Wayans. I don't know. He was like a New York.
He's a Nick or something, right?
Knickerbocker, yeah.
Yeah. So let's just go. And he was their best player. So let's just go right to the top. Let's get Von Miller, and you know what I mean. And we'll of course it's going to take more than just you and me, because he'd kick both of our asses with probably both hands tied behind his back. But I think as Raider Nation collective, we can get him.
This is evidence. You got Mondays with Mike and Murf talking about kidnapping Bronco players and holding them for ransom on eBay or something.
So much for that alibi, huh?
Woo! That's hilarious.
Listen,
all right.
This is a joke. If anybody touches Von Miller next week, we had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, we're talking about the proverbial ushers, not the real ushers. We're talking about the proverbial ushers.
Oh, my God.
They don't exist. Let's try to do an actual game time preview. What are your expectations for this game in terms of the O-line? Derek Carr, do you think that John Gruden is worried about him getting injured with the O-line? Maybe he'll take him out. I don't know. Just your thoughts on this game, on the actual gameplay on the field and the players.
Man, I'm worried about, running backs and tight ends they're killing us. And, the Broncos don't have, Julius Thomas anymore. No, he's not there, right? He's not. And so they don't have the players that used to kill us at tight end anymore, right? And I mean, AJ Derby's not even there. Who is it? Highhauser? Who's that guy? I don't even remember who it is, but they're tight end.
Kuhneman, Hireman.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
Jeff Hireman.
There you go. And I'm not going to pull a Stephen A on you and try to pretend like I know, the depths of the rosters here. But I know the guys that are significant enough, and I don't think Case Keenum is anybody that we have to worry about. And especially now with the loss of Emmanuel Sanders for the year, I don't see any reason that we can't, well as Conley's playing and other guys in our secondary. I think we're going to be fine there. It's the running game. I mean, when you look at, we have a deficiency at linebacker and mainly inside linebacker. And it shows up when guys like Joe Mixon come out and kick our butts. You know what I mean? And so we need to have, production at that position and shut down a guy like Philip Lindsay, because Philip Lindsay at times can be, a dominant player. The team isn't dominant, but he's had some amazing performances this year. So I'm kind of worried about that. And then of course, pass rush. You mentioned the issues we've had, our pass rush, but the issues that we've had stopping other teams' pass rush, and especially when you have 2 young unknown guards going at it. I heard Kelechi's coming back this week, so that's a good thing. That at least gets us one step in the right direction. But you never can trust what a guy's going to do coming off of an injury. So, you got to slow down Chubb and you got to slow down Von Miller, right? And keep Derek Carr upright. And if they can do, like many football games, if you can keep the other team from running all over you and you can slow down their pass rush, you'll have yourself in a position to win. So, listen, I think defensively we got enough. I think we're gonna, because look, Case Keenum, I think he was so overrated coming in this year, and I think this is a classic blunder on Elway to thinking that, you want to talk about arrogance, thinking that he can, bring in a guy to fill that role, and Case was going to be the guy. Please, absolutely not, and so I don't worry about Case. Of course, I didn't worry about Jeff Driscoll either. I didn't worry about Nick Mullins either. So, and those guys torched us, or at least were effective enough in the case of Driscoll. So who knows about Case Keenum, but I think we're going to be okay. I'm at least more confident in our ability to do that, Mikey, than others. So let's slow down Phillip Lindsay. Let's slow down that pass rush, and then let's see what we can do. Keep the game close, man. At least give Raider Nation something to cheer for, man. These double-digit blowouts, man. It's terrible, especially last game in Oakland, right?
We've had a revolving door at the roster, position basically for about 5-6 weeks now. So I don't know who's playing from week to week. And players are being released from Gruden on free agency, like Emmanuel Lemur and stuff like that. And Garyon Connolly, I believe he's not going to play. I believe he's still completely in the concussion protocol. So that being said, but you're right, Gabe Jackson is possibly coming back. Donald Penn is not going to play.
No, Gabe's out. Gabe's out for the year. He's on IR.
Gabe's out.
But we got Kelechi come back. Hey, one more name I'm going to throw out there too, real quick. Darren Waller, man, let's get that kid the ball again. I'm excited for him. Big size guy, speed guy, a lot of athleticism there, man. He looks like 6'6" and runs a 4.46, man, at tight end. That's awesome. Let's get Darren Waller the ball.
They are kind of like trick plays to the tight end, and they've worked the previous 3 weeks. I guarantee you Denver, has it on the radar now. So it's going to be a little bit tougher for Lee Smith to catch a touchdown 3 games in a row. Same thing with Darren Waller, 2 games in a row. I think it's going to be a little tougher for them moving forward. So that might open up the doors for Marshall Aitman or Jordy Nelson again. But, I don't know what to expect. Do you think Derek Carr, if he struggles, if he's getting sacked, do you think John Gruden would be that worried about an injury to pull him out or anything like that?
Nope. No way. Unless Derek pulls himself out or there's some reason that because of a concussion protocol or something like that.
Injury.
Yeah, unless look, Derek don't come out of games, man. I mean, look at the guy broke his pinky finger, went into the tent, and came back out just a few minutes afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, no, he and Gruden's not going to do that to his quarterback. He's not going to do that to him. He's, he did it like when Derek
this year one time,
and Derek got hurt and he got pissed, right? And rightfully so. But Gruden addressed it fairly, I thought, about the reason that he didn't let him go back in, because the game was over by all intents and purposes at that time. It wasn't like Derek was going to miss, a chance to go be competitive again.
Well, that's what I mean. If the game is over too as well, do you think there's a possibility?
There's a difference between the game being over and the game being, completely out of reach. You know what I mean? Like when Derek got left out, like it wasn't like McCarron was out there running them on the last few series of the game in a game that was like, a chance for them to win. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't like that. It was just like we kept them out of, it wasn't even victory formation. It was just like, you know what I'm saying? So like the game was literally over at that point. And so I don't even think nobody even went in his place. It was just a matter of whether they were going to or not. So, that's a different story than, hey, it's the middle of the third quarter or even, late in the fourth quarter, and we're going to let Peterman go out there and get some snaps. I don't think that's going to happen. Not even anywhere close.
Yeah, he'd have to be brought up off the practice roster for that to happen. But AJ McCarron, like you said, he'll probably come back and suit up. Final score predictions. Go for it, brother.
I'm so terrible at these, right? Well, I don't expect him to win anymore. So I'm going to say they lose a close one, 27-20. Of course, that's not what my heart wants, Raider Nation. That's my head, just based on when you only win 3 games out of 14, doesn't really inspire much confidence to pick them to win. But I would like to think that the fan in me, my heart wants to think that because of all of the things that are on the line, because of the, again, use the word again, the gravity of all of it, that they will play a different type of inspired football, not only for the crowd, but for just, just the entirety of the situation, I would think that there would be a little extra mustard on this one. And they did it for Pittsburgh, and there's way greater things on the line for this game against the Broncos. So I would like to think that the Raiders have a good chance to win this football game. But if you're asking me to pick, if I had to bet my mortgage, I would say they lose 27-20.
All right. I'm going to do a prediction because I didn't do a game preview thing on my own. I'm going to say the Raiders get a victory. I'm going to say we go out with a bang. The NFL helps us on Monday Night Football, whether you believe it's rigged or not. I'm going to say, we get all the breaks in the final stretch, and we win the game with John Gruden and Derek Carr making a 2-point decision. We have an opportunity to tie the game, but they decide to go for 2 in the final seconds and get a big victory, 25-24 over the Broncos to end it in Oakland. I don't know if it'll happen, but it's fun to think about. Okay, here we go. The show's it's actually at an hour and a half per se, but we're going to do this. We have to do this. These are the top 5 Monday Night Football Raider games that are memorable, according to the experts online. And I will go down from 5 to 1. I know you cannot see them on screen, Murf, but I will give you the details from the ad or whatever that I saw online. So let's go for it.
Can I give you mine before we start, since I can't see them, because I'm curious if mine match up at all? Can I just throw a couple games at you?
Yeah. They're not even on screen yet. I'm going to do one by one. But
all right. So my most memorable win, 2 of them. One was a game that I went to, but it was as far as the significance of the game. But I went to was at Tennessee. That was a great game. It was in fact around this time of year. But aside from that, in 2002, when we beat the Broncos on our way to the Super Bowl that year, and Rod Woodson had a 98-yard interception return for a touchdown. That was amazing. That was by far the most memorable win for the Raiders. But as far as most memorable in its entirety, there are 2. But they were losses. And one was the Brett Favre game when he played the day after his dad passed away, and he threw for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns on us. And then the other one was the night that we played the Niners in 1994. And not only did Jerry Rice set the touchdown record in that game, but that was the game that Napoleon McCallum broke his leg. And so that game, I remember watching that thing. I know exactly where I was. I know where I was sitting. I know who I was with. I know, I remember that like it was yesterday. So sadly, those 2 losses are memorable, probably even more vividly than the win. And they were even that much longer ago than the win. But those are the 3 that came to mind when I saw this question on our sheet. So I'm curious to hear what the rundown says.
Yeah, I should have did my own research and looked up all the Monday Night Football games for myself, but I didn't really have the time. I'll be quite honest with you guys. But according to the experts of the top 5 most memorable Monday Night Football Raider games, these are in their order. All right, so let's go at number 5. Number 5 is September 19th, 1983. The Raiders beat the Dolphins 27-14. Miami had represented the AFC in the Super Bowl in the year before, even though the Raiders had been the top playoff seed. So this game was about reestablishing the pecking order in the conference and building a 13-0 halftime lead. The Raiders left no doubt as to what team was the best one in the AFC that year. In fact, it was 27-0 in the fourth quarter before Miami even scored. Quarterback Jim Plunkett needed to attempt just 15 passes in this entire game, completing 11 of them. As running back Marcus Allen ran for 105 yards, of course, the Silver and Black would go on to win a 3rd Super Bowl in that season. Note, Dan Marino made his NFL debut in this game, throwing 2 garbage time touchdown passes in the final quarter. That is number 5, September 19th, 1983. Raiders 27, Dolphins 14. I don't remember that game, but I want to watch it.
I'm sure you can find it online, man. There's a lot of full football games on YouTube, and it's fantastic. If you like to go back and watch some of these games.
Yeah, I'm building a game. And if you remember any of these, let me know after. Number 4, November. This is the one I think you possibly talked about, or at least in that season. November 11th, 2002. The Raiders beat the Broncos 34-10.
That's it.
This was a huge game most people don't remember, as Oakland used this game as a springboard to another AFC championship and the team's first since 1983. The Raiders had started the season 4-0 before losing the next 4 games, including 2 in overtime. Oakland needed this win to right the ship. The Silver and Black got it going again on this night. The big play was a 98-yard interception return for a touchdown in the first quarter by Oakland's Rod Woodson. But quarterback Rich Gannon showed why he would win the league's MVP award in 2002 by completing that night 34 out of his 38 attempts for 352 yards and 3 touchdowns. Wide receiver Jerry Rice caught 2 touchdowns, as the Raiders would only lose one more time during the regular season on the way to that Super Bowl 37. Number 4, you got it good.
That was a great game, man. That was a great game.
I didn't know it was Monday Night Football. You get it? Like, by reading this, I start to remember some of these games.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Now, it's unfortunate. Like, I was too little and so were you. When the Raiders were the kings of Monday night and all that stuff, that was, because I'm sure, this list is going to have games from the 70s that, we just were too little to remember or whatever to be around for at all. But because I'm sure that's where this list is going. It's got to be. But that one in 2002, like, we haven't had a lot of significant Monday Night Football games since then, if you think about it. So that we're on the positive side of. So that's why that one stands out to me so much.
We will have a big one this Monday night, and I hope it's just as memorable for all the reasons we spoke about just recently. Number 3 on the top 5 Monday Night Football Raider games, December 3rd. It was a cold, chilly night in 1979 as the Raiders were versus the Saints. The Raiders won 42-35 versus the Saints. No, this wasn't a memorable season for Oakland at all, as the Raiders finished 9-7 for the second year in a row and missed the postseason again, too, for the second straight time. However, this game further cemented the Monday Night Football legend of the Raiders at the time. Oakland was down 35-14 in the third quarter before quarterback Ken Stabler led the Raiders to 4 straight touchdowns and an amazing come-from-behind win at the New Orleans Superdome. He had just thrown a pick 6 to bury his team in the 21-point lead hole, but Stabler tossed 3 touchdown passes in the fourth quarter, including the final 2 to wide receiver Cliff Branch to give Oakland the unlikely victory. At this point, basically everyone associated with the NFL just knew that the Raiders were a give-me win when they played on primetime television, but the Raiders were definitely not a give-me or give-me on this night. Did you ever watch that game or remember it?
I don't. I was 6, so no, I don't remember that. I don't remember I don't remember what my teachers were in elementary school, let alone remember this game. But
hey, we got homework now. Like, I'm gonna try to find these games and I'll send it to you, and we're gonna watch them.
But that's what Kenny did, man. That's why as a kid, I do remember him being my favorite player, and it was because of these were the kinds of things that he did. So yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Here we go. Now we're getting into my generation. Number 2. October 20th. It was almost Halloween. I'm just kidding. October 20th, 1980. Raiders 45, Steelers 34. It's hard to explain how big this was at the time, but with backup quarterback Jim Plunkett now at the helm, after an injury to starter Dan Pastorini, the Silver and Black had to go to Pittsburgh on Monday Night Football to take on the 2-time defending Super Bowl champions. This matchup was a shootout with several lead changes. First, it was the Steelers up 17-7, and then it was the Raiders up 28-17. But here comes Pittsburgh again to make it just a 1-point game, 35-34 by the end of the third quarter. Oakland closed out the game with 10 unanswered points to win the contest, and Plunkett's 3 touchdown passes were huge. Branch had 123 yards and 2 touchdowns, including the game-clinching score in the final quarter. The Steel Curtain was no more as the Raiders went on to win Super Bowl 15 with Jim Plunkett as their MVP in the 80 season.
That's a good one there, man. Anytime we beat the Steelers is great. And that's an awesome one, Mikey. I don't remember this game, but I remember this season because I remember Pastorini. He broke his leg, right? And that's why Plunkett ultimately went in, because Pastorini was brought in to kind of replace Stabler, because that's when the Raiders sent him to Houston, and Pastorini was brought in to replace Stabler, and then Pastorini goes down and Plunkett comes in to save the day, and then he did it again later on in his career. So I hope I'm not mixing those up about when he broke his leg, but that's pretty cool, man. That's a very cool one.
All right, and the final number one game is, my graphics are like not coming up. There we go. Number one. It was a cold, chilly September. I'm just kidding. Number one, September 20th, 1976. The Raiders beat the Chiefs 24-21. We put this at the top of the list because it helped launch Oakland and to its first Super Bowl title. Due to a scheduling quirk, the Raiders played 5 straight road games in 1976. Is that really a quirk? The NFL seems to do that all the time to the Raiders.
Yeah, right.
I don't even want to talk about it.
They're all East Coast games too, I'm sure.
Yeah, the Raiders played 5 straight road games in 1976, and this was the first of them. If Oakland loses this game, who knows if the team goes on to a 13-1 season and the NFL championship. The game wasn't as close as the score suggests, as Kansas City scored the last 2 touchdowns of the game to make it look close. The Raiders took a 17-0 halftime lead and outgained the Chiefs 446 yards to 280. Ken Stabler completed 22 out of 28 passes for 224 yards and 3 touchdowns. The Oakland juggernaut would lose only 1 game in 1976. That was a road game in New England 2 weeks after this game. This was one of 7 games the Raiders would win during the year by 7 points or less. And that is your number one top Monday Night Football Raider game, according to the experts.
That's a cool one. I like how they mentioned that was, the year that they marched to the Super Bowl. And we went through, we didn't go through Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh came to us, but that was the game earlier that I mentioned. When you watch footage of that game, the crowd runs onto the field after we beat the Steelers in the AFC Championship game that year. And that was probably 1976 was probably the most significant year in the entirety of the Raiders' history. When you look at it, the significance of Madden and of Davis and of winning the first Super Bowl and the performances of people like Stabler and all the different people, I made mention at times about how the 70s Raiders were like superheroes to me. And you look at the people on these teams, man, and this was their coming out party. This was they finally got past the Steelers and got that first ring. And it was a big deal, man. It was a big deal. And so, I wish I remembered this game in 76 against the Chiefs, because we all know how much we hate the Chiefs and what a great rivalry that is with the Raiders. So I wish I did remember it, but that sounds awesome, because that year, Mikey, I'm telling you, man, as a Raiders fan, that's the year. That's got to be the year for all Raider fans to point at as the most significant in the history of the team.
Yeah, so I implore you, Murf, and me, let's do some homework. During this offseason, before the Super Bowl, let's find some of these games and let's rewatch them.
I'd love to.
Let's see what the NFL history and the Raiders of Oakland or LA is all about. And let's look at the NFL before all this mamsy-pamsy, making it for the offense, nobody getting injured. When men were men and players were players, and they knew that they were putting their bodies on the field, not only for money, but for pride and excellence. Let's rewatch some of these games. Even if you're a 12-year-old Raider fan, let's do some homework and let's do some research.
More importantly, if you're a 12-year-old Raider fan, watch these games. Absolutely. I've showed my kids, we've never sat down to watch a full game, but I've shown them plenty of highlights of players, from everybody from Snake to, Howie Long to Charles Woodson to whoever, to show them so they understand the significance of those players and in terms of the Raiders. So absolutely, younger players. There was a world that existed before iPhones and social media. And so, you know what I mean? Go out there and explore it. And, it will help you in terms of informing your opinions about football and especially about this team. And I'm not going to use this as an opportunity to take shots at younger fans, Mikey, because there are a lot of good ones. But usually when you hear a crazy thought or oh my gosh, I can't believe we're this bad, or I can't believe we've never done this, or I can't. Usually that comes from the fan that, isn't quite aware of those times, of those days. So, go back and look at Raider history. Go back there and watch this stuff, man. It's all you can watch the freaking AFL championship game from 1967, the Raiders and the Houston Oilers, and watch us throttle the dang Houston Oilers in a game where we got like 9 sacks. Like, go back and watch that stuff. Go back and learn about Daryl LaMonica and Jim Otto and George Blanda and all these guys, even guys that predate these 70s Raiders, man. There's just an amazing history of this football team out there to be had. So I'm with you, Mikey. I made myself a note here. I'm going to take you up on that, my friend, and let's find these things and let's watch them, man. This great idea for the offseason.
Yeah, I have a wonderful archive of a lot of Raider stuff from many years on hard drives and everything. I don't know if I could say that, the NFL will come after me for having videos and, I'm covering my mouth so they can't prove it's me. But I got a wonderful archive, but I do got to find these games and see if I got them. I definitely want to watch them, and that'll be great. So there it is. Look, let's talk about next week. We should do a game preview, but we're not going to. Next Monday, if not before, because that is around New Year's time. That will be New Year's Eve, I believe, next Monday. So we might possibly do another Friday show like we had today. But next Monday or the next show will literally be the season finale of Mondays with Mike and Murf. Doesn't mean the show is going anywhere. It just means we literally put in 23 episodes and it's a season finale. And then we're going to start doing possibly monthly shows and specials like for the Super Bowl, for the draft, and all that other stuff. We're not going anywhere, but we're celebrating next week the season finale, our first inaugural season of Mondays with Mike and Murf. So there it is, Murf. What say you on that subject?
It's been a great run, Mikey. I've had a blast this year doing Mondays with Mikey and Murf and look forward to doing one more before we move into monthly mode. But I do appreciate you, my friend. Appreciate you welcoming me to your channel. And I'll save all the sappiness for the last show. But I've really enjoyed this first season of Mondays with Mikey and Murf. So appreciate you having me and appreciate all the hard work that you've put into making this not only a blast to participate in, but I think a fun watch for Raider Nation. And so I appreciate all of you that have watched us this year. I can't read the chat, but I always go back and read through it. So for any of those shout outs in the chat, much respect back from me and look forward to catching up with that. And so Merry Christmas to you all. Merry Christmas to Raider Nation. If you don't celebrate Christmas and you celebrate something else, there's Festivus or whatever the heck else it is, all I can say is this is a great time of year to just remember that we're all in this together. Love on one another, man. Be kind to one another. Give away. Giving is way better than receiving on all fronts. So, give with your time and your resources and your grace and your love and your forgiveness and do that all for one another. And I'm just a fun time of year. And Mikey, I extend all that stuff to you, brother. I appreciate you. And hope I know you've had some health challenges and whatnot here lately, but I hope you're able to find some joy and some family in this season, buddy, as we're closing out this now 2018.
Yes, I love your t-shirt. You're definitely in the Christmas spirit early. What's your favorite memorable quote from A Christmas Story?
It's full. Oh, no, wait. No, you said Christmas Story. I thought you said Christmas movie.
No, the shirt from your t-shirt.
I thought you were going to say Christmas movie, so I went to Christmas Vacation. Oh, gosh, I don't know. You know what? I'll tell you what my favorite scene is. It's not even a quote. It's with the kid when he gets it's Ralphie's little brother when he gets all wrapped up in his winter clothes and he falls down on his back and he can't get up. That's my favorite part. When he's just laying there and he's going, ah! That's my favorite part.
I love it. They air that show like 24 hours a day during Christmas.
I'll tell you what, and another one popped into my head. How about when the dad, when he goes, ooh, fragile, must be Italian. It says he's fragile on the box.
I want the lamp. I want that lamp.
That's probably my favorite line. Yeah.
I will do some things to that lamp.
All right. Now keep it in the Christmas spirit, Mikey.
No, I said I'll do some things to that lamp, like fix it with crazy glue, and I'm just, because it broke. Hey. My favorite moment is the little brother eating mashed potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Just playing with his food like a real kid does. Meatloaf, double peak loaf, meatloaf, meatloaf, double peak. I did that stuff like every day of my life. Then I just like the moment where the kid's tongue is on the pole.
Great
and he goes,
scene.
come on.
Yeah.
Come back. Come back. That movie is great. What do you want for Christmas, brother?
I don't want to, I'll give you a cheesy answer, man. I just, I'm kind of a hippie on this stuff. Just kind of peace and love and kindness, man, is all I want. If I had to pick something tangible, I mean, I'm so thankful for so much. Got a great, amazing family, and everyone's, happy and healthy. And so that's all I can ask for. So again, I hate to give you a cheesy answer, but if I had to pick something, I'd like a new camera. How about that? I want a new camera for the Murph's Fan Cave studio here, so I can broadcast this face for radio in 4K. How about that?
4K, man, they're gonna see my pimples. I don't want that.
How about you, my man? What do you got going on, brother? What do you got going on? What do you want for Christmas?
A healthy future. I want a few more years on this planet Earth. I've seen too much death, destruction, illnesses, too much violence going on. People losing their lives, their homes, everything. I just want it all to stop, and I want everybody to slow down and just realize every moment you wake up that you're alive, and that's another opportunity to have a blessed day.
Amen, dude.
Hey, man, I should be a preacher.
Hey, man, I can't follow that up, dude. That's well done, Mikey.
So there it is. Murph, let them know where they can find you quickly again.
Please go to murphsfancave.com and look for us, youtube.com/murphsfancave. That's MURFS Fan Cave. You can find us all over the interwebs, but most importantly, because of Mikey's influence and encouragement, we have become big fans of the live stream. So please subscribe to Murph's Fan Cave. That will get you Raiders Fan Radio. That will get you the audio version of Mondays with Mikey and Murph. And that will also get you the Fan Club Blitz, which is a phenomenal fan club show put on the guys from the New Jersey chapter of the Black Hole. That's youtube.com/Murph's Fan Cave.
There it is. And I'd like to give a quick shout out to everybody that supported our channels, both in agreement, whether it be through donations, kind words, forum talking, or whatever. We all love you. We appreciate you. I know this is a boring part of the show for many, but it's necessary because sometimes these are the only moments we have with our true listeners and fans to tell them we love you, we thank you, and we're blessed to have you. Whether we communicate constantly or not, we see what you write, and we thank you and we love you for it. Thanks for being a part of Mondays with Mikey and Murph. We'll see you on the season finale next week. And please let us know in the forum below some of your favorite moments that stand out from you from this entire season, and maybe we'll have some clips on next week's show. All right, Murph, and let's hope that Murph sings.
Only if we beat the Chiefs.
Let's hope Murph raps if we beat the Chiefs. But if not, you'll have to wait till next season. All right, let's get out of here. Let's sing the theme song. Everybody loves it. And do your thumb dance. All right.
Thumbs are locked and loaded, buddy.
All right, here we go. And 5. Everybody, do it with me. Get off your chairs and let's do it together. Let's have a good moment before the big Monday night football game for the city of Oakland. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2. It's Mondays with Mikey and Murph. We talking Raiders and football dirt. Thumb dance, because we are a new Raider talk show. It's like I'm driving. It's a good show. Let's go. It's Mondays with Mikey and Murph. Thank you all. We'll see you next week on the season finale.